Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League might just be one of the most overhated games to ever exist. I just finished playing Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, and I very much disagree with some of the critics and what they've said about the game. Now, I feel like the whole reason this game is so hated on is because how the Justice League is handled after we see them for the first time in the Arkham Batman Rocksteady universe. And yes, that's an understandable gripe because we didn't even get to see this built up, and seeing characters like Arkham Batman get so done dirty is very sad to see and hurts Arkham Knight players. But the story and gameplay that was provided to us in Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is awesome in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, I really wish they wouldn't have done this in the Arkham Batman universe, and that is one of my many complaints I have about this game, is that they did this in the wrong universe. If they would have done this in a standalone universe, I would have been so much more happier than what I ended up being. And honestly, I really like the story direction that they went to. 4 villains having to kill and destroy all of our famous heroes that are brainwashed in an apocalyptic setting, which is really cool to see throughout the game. And as soon as you start the game, the reason I refer to it as apocalyptic is because at the very beginning of the game, you are quickly informed that 99% of Metropolis population is now dead or converted into an alien. Now here's where I start diving into spoilers, because I want to get this out of the way before I start talking about gameplay and my full review of the game. Okay, now I get killing Arkham Batman and killing all the Justice League. It's very sad, especially to see people like the Flash just get shot down and drop dead with no one even concerning, and to the point where Captain Boomerang straight up whips his wiener out and pees on the Flash. Which I get, people are very upset about that, and you know what? I understand why. The Flash is a beloved DC hero, and we don't want anything bad to happen to him, so therefore, when something bad happens to him in a game, it makes you very sad, even though we've had no connections with this Flash whatsoever. And I feel like they did the exact same thing to Green Lantern and Wonder Woman. Green Lantern gets shot to the ground, only for Deadshot to blow his head off. Then you see Superman fly down and crash in the middle of Centennial Park and die. And I saw people even say things like, well, it's not that I was mad that they killed them, even though that would be really sad. I was more upset with the way they went about doing it, which is very understandable. But at the end of the day, you have to remember, these are villains facing their greatest enemies, and you know what? If they're gonna kill them, they don't want these heroes to die with honor and respect. They just want them dead, to get peed on, shot in the head blown off, and very gruesomely killed, which is how they do it in the game. The only one that I will remotely say is like not very villainous is King Shark, just because that's the one that always gets put in the wrong place at the wrong time. Nanawe is one of my favorite characters, and they do him justice in this video game, and I really like him. Even though he just feels like a ripoff of Drax, his fighting, his melee, and his gameplay is therefore my favorite throughout the entirety of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. He was the one that I mained the entire time, and his little storylines and him appearing is very, very awesome throughout the entirety of the game. I feel like a couple of the standoff moments is when we see him looking at Batman's message before they go to fight corrupted Batman. And that's when they found out that Robin was dead, and he starts crying, and Captain Boomerang started shaming Shark for it, and I actually felt really bad. But going back to what I was saying, you really got to remember, these guys are villains. They're not heroes. They don't want to save people. They're basically doing their dream job by getting to go around in worlds where it doesn't matter if they kill people. It doesn't matter if people die. All they have to do is kill Brainiac, mess with cool weapons, be able to destroy stuff, and cause mayhem. This is, besides the bombs in their necks, this is basically these villains' dream job. This is what they want to do. They get to kill the Justice League in alternate universes This is exactly how they want to go about it. So, therefore, I feel like you shouldn't blame Rocksteady for the way that the Justice League died. I feel like that is how they would die if they were able to kill them. They would not make these heroes go out with respect. They would shoot them in the face, blow them up, pee on them. And that's exactly what they do. And I know, there's theories going around out there saying that the Justice League could be clones, but I have decided to entirely leave that out in this review because I feel like it is unnecessary. And if you remember, the game is not even over yet. There's still Season 2 coming out, and that's supposed to expand the story, add characters like the Joker, and have him join the League, and then we're going to be able to kill the other 13 Brainiacs out there. And speaking of Brainiac, that is one of my biggest complaints is Brainiac himself. Now, I'm not talking about the character, I'm talking more specifically about his boss fight. Because that's one of the things that I can really praise this game over is how unique the boss fights are. Batman uses the fear gas on you to where you have to fight this bat demon, and it's really cool to see Batman through a villain's perspective. I mean, he basically traumatizes you. How when you're going through the game, you see that Batman is basically out there stalking you. Even when you're not on a mission involving him, you can see in the distance, Batman is up there watching you, watching your every move. So that's why he uses the fear gas to scare you. And it really makes Batman just a horrifying character. And his boss fight was so fun with the fear gas. And then you had the flashes, where you had those devices to reflect his speed force, to knock him out. Then when you were fighting Green Lanterns, you got a bunch of yellow lanterns to fight him. And it was like a really cool thing. And then you had the yellow kryptonite to fight Superman. And I loved how they had each boss fight very individually based on a different character. And it felt like when we got the Brainiacs, we would see something really cool. Because we have seen Brainiac has all these minions going around the city. He's infused them with DNA of other heroes. So the Flash has basically a bunch of little aliens with his exact same power. There's Superman aliens, there's Green Lantern aliens, and they're all horrifying to fight. All the different enemies are really cool. So you figured that Brainiac would have a really unique boss fight. No, you get to the end of the game, you fight him, and it's literally just the exact same Flash boss fight over again. Which is one of my complaints because they made Brainiac such a cool and menacing villain in this game. And I was hoping that he would continue to be cool and menacing, but no. Everything that he had built up to got retconned when we went up to the ship and had to fight a version of the Flash. But then, by Lex Luthor, we were informed that there was 13 other Brainiacs that we need to kill. So after you kill him, now there's 12 more, and you get to go to Earth 2. And that's something that I've not even touched upon yet that I really want to talk about. And it's the introduction of Earth 2 and Lex Luthor, which I am super excited about seeing, is because I really liked what they did with Lex Luthor and LexCorp. How their Lex Luthor died, and he had bombs connected, and he helped them get out of Earth 2. When you're exploring Earth 2, you see a lot of cool things, and in post-game, it is so fun to be playing in Earth 2 with Lex Luthor helping you. I really like what they did with Lex Luthor and the other iconic DC characters showing up, like a Kid Poison Ivy, Toyman, and last but definitely not least, Colonel Rick Flag, who they just made a D-bag in this movie, and oh my gosh, what? Rick Flag was nothing like what he was in the comics or movies, and he was just a D-bag sucking up to Waller the whole time, where in the comic books and movies, he's sent to lead the squad. But that's just my complaint, so there's no real big deal about it. And moving on to talk about the gameplay, yes, I really enjoy it. If it wasn't for the missions being very repetitive, like my least favorite missions are the payload missions, as I like to call them, where you have to escort the cars through the city and defend them, because those suck horribly. But this game is so fun gameplay-wise. Like mechanics, traversal, I get the 18 different buttons to use it is annoying, but oh my gosh, once you get the hang of it, it's so fun. King Sharks and Captain's Boomerangs was so fun, but as guns wise, I have to say Deadshot, which makes a lot of sense because he's the dude. I really enjoyed shooting enemies down with Deadshot, and it was really fun. Also, one thing that I actually preferred using over the guns was the character's melee attack, which I didn't see much of. Because when I play as Captain Boomerang, I spam that boomerang and it does so much better. I'll whip out the shotgun occasionally, but the boomerang and the melee is way better, in my opinion. The one character that did get on my nerves gameplay-wise is Harley Quinn. And that's because she was simply not that fun to play as. Now, her gun was okay, her melee was okay, and her, wannabe Spider-Man was alright. But other than that, she's just a mid-player, and if all the characters had the same traversal as her, I would not want to play the game, because in the story, Harley is a very, very likable and funny character. But gameplay-wise, I would only go back to it if all the characters were like Boomerang, Deadshark, and King Shark. And they're really fun to play as, so that's why I've been playing the game. Well, now that I'm done with my little rant on why Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is so overhated, I can finally rate the game. I will give Suicide Squad Gives the Justice League, it feels wrong rating it this high, but I've had so fun with it, a 6.5 out of 10. I enjoyed my time with it. I understand its controversies, and I am upset about the Arkham Universe tie connection. But if you cut that canon, and this is just a random multiverse where this is happening, oh yeah, I like the story of that. I like the Suicide Squad getting to do their dream job in a post-apocalyptic world. It's really cool. And that's why I say Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is overhated.